Welcome back to CFB Nation. I am your host, Nino Brown. I got my guy with me, Mr. Get It Done, aka Dino. And when you see us on the screen, you already know the deal. It's Devy Dollins. Before we dive into that, I gotta check in with my man, see how he's doing tonight. Dino, how we doing?
I'm living the dream. I'm excited to talk about this guy. You put me on this guy, and I was watching film of him earlier, and I'm all about it now. I see why you said let's do this guy.
Yeah, he's and before we even break it down, the fact that I said to you last night or the night before, he knew when he committed that they were bringing in Delora, didn't even care. No, I'm cool with it. Bring it in. It's competition. Well, the competition didn't really last long. Obviously, injuries set him up, but once you put him in the saddle, bro, he wasn't giving up the reins. And Lauren's healthy now, but he's a healthy backup to
Yep.
this freshman kid that we're going to talk about, and that is quarterback for the Arizona Wildcats, Noah Fifita. I love the name. I love the swag. I like the way he carries himself. That guy's about to drop a bomb on you at the end of this when he drops his player comp, putting all the heat on him. But I see it. I really do. You just when you bring up names like that, people start going. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So, but I think once we break them down a little bit, I think when you drop the comp later on, maybe it won't be so heavy, right? Uh, we're gonna get into it. He's 5'11", 195 pounds. He's a former three-star recruit. He went to Servite High School in Anaheim, California. Me and Dino were talking last night. This high school was probably one of the toughest high schools to play at. Like just the competition that they go against is insane. Arizona took pretty much every stud that they had on this team for his class, and every one of these kids is doing their thing. It's kind of crazy. He's a two-sport athlete, but not your normal two-sport athlete. You usually see like basketball or track, maybe baseball. My guy was a golfer. And I think that might play a little bit into the style of play that he has, where he just kind of always finds a way, finds an angle. He's never out of it, right? He holds records at Servite. Passing touchdowns, passing yards, completion, total season touchdowns. I mean, any pretty much statistical category of passing that you had at Servite, he owns it, all right? And like I said, I mentioned, the current Wildcat teammates from this school. You got T-Mac, Terrell McMillan, our guy. We talked about him earlier. I've been on the train since before the kid even put a cleat on at Arizona. The tight end, well, I think once the gentleman at the senior moves on, I think Burnett's going to be the guy, Kenyon Burnett, and then the linebacker, who's just he's leading the team in tackles at 75. That's Jacob Menu. So like he's comfortable. He's with his guys that he's been playing with for a while. So talk to me a little bit about some of the things that he's been able to accomplish in high school and just a short time in Arizona.
Yeah. So on top of all those records that you said he holds, he was the California High State Sophomore of the Year, the State Junior of the Year. He's been Pac-12 Freshman of the Week three times, week
Yeah,
6, 7, and 9. The Sean Alexander Freshman of the Week in week 7. The Davy O'Brien Great 8 in week 9. The Manning Award Star of the Week in week 9. It's like you see why they're sticking with him, even though Delora is healthy.
yeah, it's wild. And like I said, like he's never really seems to kind of be out of the play. We're gonna break down his attributes and stuff, but like for a kid, he's a sophomore, right? His freshman year, he really we'll break it down, but he really didn't do much. He's just kind of getting he's kind of just getting acclimated. He reminds me of like how Castellanos was at Boston College, right? He just now he's starting to get into a groove that's kind of like opening up the playbooks, getting a little bit heavier, every week for him instead of just this like vanilla scheme that they're running. And man, the kid's performing, and he's performing under the lights. It don't matter. He's doing his thing. Big team, small team, no team. It don't matter. You just seem to be hearing about him. So I'm gonna get into. Why don't you talk to some of the stats, these eye popping stats that he had at Servite High School?
Yeah, so 20 to 21, his junior year, he played in 6 games, 90 for 133, little over 1,200 yards, 68% completion, 10 touchdowns, two interceptions. He ran it 37 times for 130 yards and 11 touchdowns. Like, I saw the yards and then touchdowns, and I was like, wait a minute. But yep,
Yeah.
So then his senior year, he played a full season, 13 games, completed a little over 62% of his passes, threw for almost 3,000 yards, 34 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, and ran the ball 93 times for almost 500 yards and 9 touchdowns. And then career wise, he played in total 32 games, had a little over 7,000 yards,
Yeah.
7,273 yards, 83 touchdowns, and a 63% completion rate. That's
Yeah.
it's crazy in
Yeah.
California.
Yeah. With the competition being like, through the roof and the kids just getting it done. I mean, granted, yeah, T Mac, who was the stud, but you got to have that report. You got to get him the ball, right? Like, that's
Yeah,
the thing is you still got to get it to him. And if you watch the intro, there was some clips there from Survey, man. The kid's he's got the juice, man. He finds a way. I'm gonna keep repeating it because it just every time it reminds me like kind of like Jalen Hurts or even Caleb a little bit. I hate to say it because you know you're gonna be like, oh, Caleb, like his escapability. Like, just when you think you got him, when that DN's come around the corner about to throw that on, makes a slight little step. Like it's not even something crazy. Make a step back, smooth out to the left, to the right, just enough where he just goes by. And now all of a sudden, buys him enough time, a second or two, to either make the play with his arm or his leg. He did play in the Polynesian Bowl that year, 2022. Yeah, 11-yard TD run. He was 50% completion for 139 yards, 12-24. I think he hit T Mac for a couple passes in that game. He was the guy in that game, right?
Mhm.
Let's get into some of the things that I saw that popped off the screen. All right, I know you can tell me what you saw as well. I think he's got great throwing mechanics. Okay, I think the kid's got it. For he's a sophomore, redshirt, whatever you want. He only played 3 games, so it's not much. But for a young kid, he's got it. He's got the mechanics down. This is the thing that jumps off the screen to me, and I say this because I feel he's ahead of the curve, like how Jordan Travis was, even Jaden Daniels. Right, these guys who were mobile, dual threat QBs, when they took off to run, that was all they were doing. They were running. Okay.
Mhm.
Jordan Travis this year and Jaden Daniels both have kind of been like, all right, if I'm leaving the pocket, let me see if I get the ball to somebody before I'm going out there and taking a big hit. Daniels doesn't care about the big hit apparently. He just likes getting impaled. It doesn't phase him, kid's a machine. But like you start to see Travis, we talked about a lot. He's been throwing the ball before he's really taken off. This kid's already doing that as a sophomore. This first instinct is like, all right, who can I go to? Go through all my regressions. All right, I'm gonna roll out. Anybody there? Oh, all right. Now I'll tuck in and go if I have to. So I love that. And he can make throws off platforms. He doesn't have to be in a clean pocket. It doesn't look like it, but this kid's got house and he fires it with like ease. I think because he throws it so easily, like just pops out of his hand. I think people underestimate the power of the throw that he's got there. What did you see that popped off the screen to you?
So yeah, like you're saying, he's got a really strong arm, but like a lot of the young kids that you see come in with those cannons, it's just rocket. Like
Yeah.
Iowa Deacon Hill, for example, he's got a cannon for an arm, but it's always just 100 miles an hour.
Right.
But what I like with this gentleman is he knows how to use that strength of his arm and still put the touch on it. Like you said, he's got good pocket presence. He
Yeah.
steps up to avoid the defense. He's looking like Money Floyd Mayweather out there bobbing and weaving, all the defenders trying to take him down. And that goes along with his footwork for a freshman, sophomore quarterback is pretty elite.
Yeah.
And like you said, he's sneaky fast. Like,
Yeah.
yes, he's athletic, but like he's got that pull away speed and he's not afraid to use his feet to extend the play. And then like we were saying, avoiding the defense, he's got tree trunks for legs for a 19-year-old kid,
Yeah.
and his core, his legs are just strong. Always moving the legs is just what I like to see.
When he's in there, like if you're not just gonna knock this kid down with like an arm tackle on on his legs, like it's not gonna get him off. He's gonna fight that off, and he's 19. It's only gonna grow, get bigger, get more an off season where he's in the weight room, knowing that he's the guy.
Hmm.
I think you're gonna see reformed dude next year. He's gonna come in ripped up, probably a little bit bigger. You know, 200, 205 in that pocket. Now you're trying to bat him around. Now you got to watch out. And that is why I feel my comp later on, when we get to it, makes a little bit more sense. Because right now he's a little undersized to my comp. But I see
Yeah, he's more my first comp, but he can be your first comp.
Correct. Yes. All right. So you see where I was going with it.
Yep.
At Arizona, right? Like I said, first year, his freshman year, he only played 2 games. He was 9-19, under 50%. He had 128 yards and a touchdown. But this year, he's been cooking. All right. 8 games, 144 out of 189 for 76.2%. He got 1,500 yards, 14 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. He's got like 300 plus yards on the ground, a couple touchdowns as well. He's a dual threat QB, and like I said, he's not letting up. Talk to me about a couple weeks here, like this run here of Washington to UCLA. Is it where he's been the guy?
Yeah. So if I'm being completely honest, I saw him from USC beyond. So that's where I'm going to start. So USC was a triple overtime loss, but he went 25 for 35, 303 yards, 5 touchdowns, and then followed it up the next week against Washington State for 342 through the air on almost 80% completion rate. Then Oregon State 275 with 3 touchdowns on 78% completion. And then last week against UCLA, who's got a pretty solid defense.
Yeah.
300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and again, 78% completion. Like, I don't want to knock the Pac-12. Well, they're not known for the best defenses, but I mean, 79, 78, 78% completions, like that's video game numbers. Like that's not for a freshman. That's crazy.
And the last week, knowing that the dude was 100% healthy, where if you slipped up and you didn't have it, they were going back to him, and you were just nails, like lights out, didn't matter. I'm here. I punched my card, and I'm here to stay. You ain't taking my work, boy.
Yeah.
And I love it. The presence for a young man, like sits in there. He doesn't look like he's nervous. Don't look like he's got the jitters, right? He's just ready to deliver. Body's flying by him. I'll just move to the left. And like we said, off camera on the green room, he kind of like I haven't seen a guy. Yes, all right, Hurts, Tua. Many of these guys who are great mobile QBs in college and can climb in the pocket. I just haven't seen a guy climb in the pocket while still moving that can throw a rifle like that. And it could be an odd angle. His arm doesn't have to be like perfectly over the top. It can kind of be like, he just finds a way to sling it in there in an open window and while climbing. Like he's on his front foot throwing rifles. You know what I mean? And I like to see it. All right. This one quote I love, all right? And he said, the love and loyalty from the Arizona coaching staff. They wanted me for me, never doubted me, and they kept all their promises. I said that they told him they were bringing in again a transfer. The kid didn't care, right? He knew when it was his time, it was his time. And I think this is another reason why we have talked about a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, why T-Mac never transferred. I think, and this makes sense. His guy was there, right? Look what they're doing together now. I think they're comfortable. I say that they're one of the best teams ready for the transition, for the realignment, right? I think them and gentlemen, my guys out in Eugene are one of the top 2 teams that are ready for that. Because they got a defense, they got youth, they're growing the youth, getting that experience. I think this is going to be a name that we're going to be hearing for quite some time. It's that time to get to the player comp.
I want to throw something in there real quick.
Good.
I think if they can keep these 2 at Arizona, maybe not next year, but definitely the year after, I think Arizona will win the Big 12.
Okay.
That's my hot take.
I know what's crazy is I don't think that's too hot because look what we talked about. We talked about all the kids coming from that school that are dominating for Arizona, right? You got Coleman, right? Riley's supposed to be the guy, right, running the ball. He got hurt. Coleman stepped in. He got 2 years left of eligibility. He's probably going to be back. They got dudes. And who's to say that they're not going to get guys in the transfer portal next year, right? Like, because now you have this is a destination, right? You got good weather. right?
Yeah.
You got talent. You go into a new conference. This is something that is going to draw people in. He's a guy that's going to draw people in. Just
Oh,
like
yeah.
I said, Castellanos. The talent, the vibe, it's all right there.
Yep.
All right. So my comp, and these gentlemen are a little bit bigger than him. They're right around the weight, but they're a little taller. I think 6'2", 6'1". I think Tua is 6'1". I think Ward is 6'2". But I like what he's got and what I see. It gives me a little bit of like if Tua Tagovailoa and Charlie Ward had a kid, put him out there. This would be Fifita. Noah Fifita. It's got a combination of both guys. Obviously, he's not left-handed, right? But
Thank
he's
God.
got the skills. I know, right? He's got the mobility. He's got vision. He's not afraid. He sits in the pocket. He's not as big as I would like structure-wise, but he's getting there. The lower body is there, so he can sit there and take hits. I think this kid's got all the tools. I think he just needs to polish him up. I think a little bit more experience. I think going into next year, this is going to be one of those kids that everybody's like, all right, I need how Drake May is, not at that pedestal, but how everybody wanted to see Drake May this year and see if he could take the next step. I think they're going to say, all right, was Noah Fifita just a vibe last year, or is he the deal? I think me and you are going to stamp him as the deal. But who's your comp?
So yeah, thinking of this, it's kind of funny. It's like you can hit every rung of a career between our four comps that we have.
Yeah.
So my first comp is obviously Russell Wilson, stature wise, kind of mobility wise. But then my second comp, I think, like you said, it's kind of setting the bar pretty high. But my second comp is Steve Young, and why I picked that is Steve was known for his weird angles throwing.
Yes.
Being able to step up in the pocket, avoid the defense. Known for one of the most elite pocket presence. And while I'm not saying Noah is there right now, you can see a glimpse of it when you watch his highlight. And so that's why I threw that in there. But I mean, also, I want to dog on you just a little bit. You want to give me some slack for Steve Young comp. I mean, you did pick a Heisman Trophy winner as a comp.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I had a feeling it was going to come back. But no, everybody forgets about Charlie Ward, right? Because it's not something recent. You know what I mean? And I mean, Tua's not in college. Tua wasn't, anything to shake a stick at. He was a top dude, and obviously he won a natty. So like, it's up there. But like what you see, it's more of like ceiling. Okay, this is what like if he checks all the boxes, this is what we think he could be, right? Or somewhere in that realm. So. If you don't know, and you haven't been aware of Noah Fifita, watch this episode, go back, check out some film, right? I think you're going to really be impressed with the same way we were impressed. I caught him at the end of that first game when he came in. Who was that against? Was the first? Washington that he played? Was that the first? Washington State?
Washington was his first start.
Oh, yeah, that was. I caught him in the second half of that because I'm like, all right, hold on. Washington's be blowing these guys out, and they're scoring somehow, and I couldn't understand it. So, I mean, Washington blows everybody out, but yeah, this kid, he's a kid, and I think he's going to be more than just a jag, more than just your normal college football player who has 3-4 years of a good career and then fizzles out. I think this is a kid that has a very good opportunity to be playing on Sundays. And we're going to put that Devy Dollins stamp on him. I'm Nino Brown. That's Mr. Get It Done D now. To CFB Nation, this is Devy Dollins. We appreciate you guys. Check us out. We got some fire guys coming up. And in 2 weeks, we got that first combo pack. Florida Gators, Devy Dollins. We're going Eugene Wilson, Olive Sportingham. It's going to be a good one. Stay tuned.